Welcome back.
As I live and breathe, I'm back.
And congratulations on a Pulitzer.
Thank you.
You did not have one of those last time you were here.
I did not. I do not take that lightly. A lot of very brave sources did some very tough stuff. So.
And I want to talk about the work you did to win the Pulitzer, but I also want to talk about this book that is separate from that. And I know, you know, when we do a show about breaking news, we have to scramble and cover things last minute.
You do an incredible job.
Well, thank you.
I love a fake press briefing, right?
But you
ask harder questions than the actual
I know.
press pool.
Thank you very much. Thanks for pointing that out. But this is a book. This is a book, and books have to be done a lot longer in advance than something that I would do. And you actually, in real time, sort of had to cover the Tillerson firing because this is about Secretary of State's and diplomacy. And did you interview Tillerson after he was fired for the book or before?
Tillerson, if he had any logic, knew that he was going to be fired on some level. Maybe that's why he's so frank in this book. I mean, he basically says, I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't experienced enough for it. I set out to interview every living Secretary of State. I got there in the end. But the problem with writing about this administration is people are fired every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like rolling off the presses, and I'm like, wait, stop the machines. I need to add Mike Pompeo to this book.
And you managed to.
And I did.
That's interesting. Again, it is very forthright and frank, the way Tillerson talks about. It's almost like an exit interview where he admits he deserved to get fired. Were you surprised?
He lays a lot of blame on this White House. I was not surprised because it is apparent to anyone looking at the State Department, which I was for this book, that it's become something of a dumpster fire, which is sad because there are brave men and women serving there. And, you know, what I lay out in this book is it's unglamorous work. It's not work that people always understand as much as what the military does, but it really saves lives.
And I do want to point out that you do not lay all the blame on the feet of Republicans insofar as the state of the State Department right now, that both Republicans and Democrats have a problem talking about the importance of diplomacy vis-a-vis the importance of the military.
Yeah, so, you know, these are the people that, yes, stamp passports and stuff, but also screen dangerous people and prevent them from coming into the country. They're the people who save you if you're kidnapped abroad. They're the people who cut the high-level political deals that keep our servicemen and women out of the line of fire. They're really important. But because, you know, they're not on the front lines with guns making things go boom, people on campaign trails invariably kind of decry them as dusty bureaucrats who don't get anything done, and that is true of both Democrats and Republicans. The Clinton administration was terrible on this. They slashed and burned spending on diplomacy. It was really bad for us around the world. It is happening now to a new extreme. But yeah, this is about both parties, and a lot of Republicans are in this book saying this is a huge problem. Colin Powell saying we're mortgaging our future right now with this.
You went and interviewed an Afghani general. Is that Dostum?
General Dostum, who is typically described as a warlord, although in this book he says he is a peace lord.
Oh, nice rebranding.
Shortly before admitting to dumping hundreds, maybe thousands of Taliban prisoners into a mass grave.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know how that squares with the peace lord thing.
And what was your takeaway insofar as how his rise to power in Afghanistan reflects on U.S. diplomacy?
So one of the interesting consequences of kicking the diplomats and the negotiators and the peacemakers out of the room is you end up with policy that's made much more out of the Pentagon and the CIA, and there are great people there, and that's an important part of how we do business. But when it's the only part of how we do business, you end up with relationships like the one we have with General Dostum, which is we gave him a ton of guns after 9/11. He went after the Taliban, but then we're kind of stuck with him. And now he's the vice president of Afghanistan. And I chronicle how multiple administrations covered up for his human rights abuses, including this mass grave, which he kind of admits to, that his commanders did it. And, you know, you meet him, and it's pretty quickly apparent that he's not necessarily the kind of guy you want to be lying down with.
Yet, when you met him, he had a reindeer.
He did have a reindeer.
Yeah, okay.
He kind of...
Can you explain how an Afghani warlord ends up with a reindeer?
So I don't know if you can see in this picture, but there's like kind of flashing Christmas tree lights everywhere. There's tchotchkes around, like porcelain figurines of horseback fighters, which is what he does. He has a sword and he's on horseback, like cutting heads off and stuff. And you know, this is like his warlord chic thing, and I guess it fits that he comes in with a reindeer, and he gestures to it like Vanna White or something, like here's the reindeer, and you know, there's guys with guns behind him, so you don't want to offend him. And it's a very nice reindeer.
Yeah. And it's not the reindeer's fault. I mean,
No.
he didn't choose the.
But very sharp antlers thrashing around.
Oh,
so I'm
so-
like, dodging the antlers and saying, well, what a lovely deer that is.
Yeah. Do you think he was because you were an American? He's like, oh, I know how I'll put him at ease. I'll show him the reindeer.
Yeah, I think that's right. It worked. I felt
It worked.
very
Yeah, you're like,
soothed.
oh, this is home.
Yeah.